everyone. Hello. Welcome back to Queen Bri broadcasting live on Rainier Avenue Radio. Can you guys hear me? Welcome. It's Queen Bri. We're back live here on Rainier Avenue Radio. Queen Greens is back live on Rainier Avenue Radio. I am your host, Queen Bri. I think we have Christina in the house. Is Christina in the house? Oh, okay. Well, Christina will be here shortly. Welcome back, you guys. We took a little hiatus. We will be back next week to talk about all things that happened while we were gone. But today, I am so excited to have our guest, Deontay Damper, on to talk about what is happening with Build and our new labor laws. So, if you guys all can welcome on one of our favorite guests, if any of our guests are listening, we love you all. But this is one of our favorite guests, Deontay, who is here to talk to us. Hi, Deontay.
Hey, Bri. What's up, Christina?
Hey, Deontay. Hey, Bri.
Hey. So, wait, before we get started, it kind of threw me off for a second. I apologize. Look, we're getting back into the swing of things. Let's do a quick little land acknowledgement. We acknowledge the land. We acknowledge that we are on traditional land of the first people of Seattle, the Coast Salish, past and present, and we honor with gratitude the land itself and the Duwamish, Suquamish, Nisqually, Snoqualmie, and Muckleshoot tribes. We also acknowledge what has happened on this land to impact the lives of the Black community in Seattle due to redlining, the systemic and oppressive mechanisms of anti-Black racism enacted by white leaders, politicians, and business people that has robbed Black families of the opportunity to build and pass down generational wealth. If you are one of those families, Clean Black Dollar Days Task Force is looking for families to share their stories of land loss due to racist mechanisms, due to redlining. There's a lot of that goes into it, and we're going to have people on later on this year to talk about what is happening with Black Dollar Days Task Force and the reparations. But right now, if you have a story to tell, please connect with Black Dollar Days at blackdollardaystaskforce.org, www.blackdollardaystaskforce.org. All right, Christina and Deontay, let's get this party started. Hey, Deontay.
Hey.
I always love seeing your beautiful smile.
I love you, Bri. Christina, how are you?
I've been well. I did not know you were with Build 206.
Yes, I have been with Build 206 for about 2 years now.
Nice.
Been working with them in community for 3. I guess that's a good segue into just Build 206 just in general. You know, Brothers United in Leadership Development has been around for 10 years, making sure that we are not only assisting, protecting, and educating and building and empowering Black men, but we are also out there advocating for community members and uplifting community members in their space. So whether that be our Build Black Wealth workshops, our Mother and Father's Day celebration events, our annual Kickball Day events, which Bri, your kids have attended, our Build to Vote. Build is always striving just to build community brick by brick, and those bricks are empowerment. And just been so happy to be working with the brothers in community because they are all a part of this wonderful community compass.
So what exactly thank you for that information. And what exactly is your role in Build?
So I am a part of the leadership team, right? And we all have a role of advocacy, right? Mine is with the city of Seattle Office of Labor Standards. I'm a part of that leadership team to help with the OLS project, right? And this helps educate and inform our community members about their rights and responsibilities related to labor standards with employees, right? In the city of Seattle, only in the city of Seattle. Just want to make sure we say that, right? So when we're talking about fair wages, and then also pay time off, right? There's so many times where people have not been able to get their access to getting off, right? And we want to just make sure the community members are actually outreached and educated on, is that a case for investigators from Office of Labor Standards to look at?
Okay, so OLS is Office of Labor Standards.
Yes.
Okay. And so you work in partnership with them. Are you
Yeah.
OLS or is
No,
there?
we're in partnership with OLS.
Okay.
So there's a
Okay.
team full of amazing people from Angela to Starberry, and there are other investigators that are on that team. So how it would work, community members here that work with us and other different partners that we have that are all a part of this contract can reach out to our organizations and say, you know what, Deontay, I worked at this specific establishment. I worked there for 6 months, 10 months, a year and a half, 4 years, 40 years. And, I noticed that I never got paid time off. I just always just had to work. Or I feel like I wasn't being able to get that access to my time off. Speaking to us, we can then hit them to an investigator who can also look more into their case if they have one, you know?
Do you guys do? Oh, sorry, Christina. Were you about to say something?
Mm-mm.
Oh, so do you guys have classes that people can attend to find out more of how to access?
Yeah, we actually do. Well, where there has been labor standards business workshops that the wonderful Nichelle Smith and Dre Franklin uh, do have that's designed to educate and inform and update community members on business and different organizations in our community. Uh, just about the rights and responsibilities employers may have in the city of Seattle. They're able to learn more about like some of the current laws that we have here and also obtain some free resources. It is an amazing workshop that they hosted back in April and in May. And I think we still have some on our page that people can be able to look at as well.
Nice. I love that Build came to strengthen their brotherhood, but it's once you get into these community avenues, you realize that everything is connected. And I love how you are connecting people with ways to protect yourselves on the job. Why did you guys how did this partnership even come about? Why is this important for us to know?
I think it's a lot with a lot of what our mission is, right? When we talk about empowerment, right? And keep in mind, like our main goal is to make sure we're uplifting Black men and community, but it is for all community members, right? And when we talk about empowerment, what does it look like when we're working that 9 to 5 and we don't want to hold someone accountable? Because you got kids or you got these things. So you don't want to be that person, but you have to be that person. And I think that with our organization, what we do give community members is that voice of empowerment, that voice of we see you, and these are the tools that you need. Very happy to be working alongside um, Dre Franklin, Daryl Glover, Guy, DJ, also known as DJ Nice and Isaiah. These four brothers, just they do the work, and we're all about empowering community members. So I think it's only you X Y. I said because it's only right. It's only right that we are actually giving community members the access and navigation that they need to continue to feel empowered while they're out there at work.
Nice. Nice. I was gonna say, look, I had a brain freeze. Sorry, guys.
No, it's okay.
I like
No.
the word empowerment that you keep using. Um, I mean, and the fact that you brought up, that the working class, they have so much to deal with besides working 9 to 5, like 8-hour shifts. You have your
Besides working
family.
Right. Besides working 9 to 5, and then it's like you see the discrepancy happening, but if I take the time to hold someone accountable, I may lose my job. Or I have been through this abuse, not just with one job, but with maybe 2 jobs this has happened to, right?
Mhm.
Or because of my race or gender identity, I don't feel comfortable, you know? Or you might not see this in a room, right? And sometimes that could sometimes deter us from feeling empowered to come and speak up about what we need. Um, and a lot of that is some community members may need compensation or in accountability above all else. And sometimes we can't. I think what I love so much about this is that we want to make sure community members know that they can't do it alone. and that is,
What?
oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, and that is what? Go ahead, finish your sentence.
We want to make sure that they can't do it alone, and working with us and OLS and the other community partners that are also a part of this, um, is just showing how we all can be that community compass. That's my word of this year, community compass.
If you're just tuning in, you're tuning in live to Clean Breeze Living, broadcasted here on Rainier Avenue Radio. I am your host, Queen Bree, and our co-host, Christina Chambers, and our special guest, Deontay Denver from Build, in here talking about their partnership with Washington labor laws and OLS. Quick question. I think you answered it, but just to clarify, what exactly do they investigate?
Well, when we talk about, like, there's a lot of community members that go through what you call wage theft, right? Sometimes you've worked a certain amount of hours and didn't get paid your just due. Like, prime example, and this is just an example. Minimum wage moved up a couple of bucks, right? In the city of Seattle, some community members, not any cases that I've had, but I know that some community members that have been impacted by, wait a minute, they didn't pay me yet. They haven't paid me their just due. Those extra $2-3 after I've been working here for 4 years could amount to a big amount of money, right? And people be like, well, you don't need to go through that. Well, we want to make sure that no one else has to. We also want to make sure that you get your just due with being compensated for that. So wage theft is really important, and also just being able to also be around get some more information about, like, our investigators that happen, and also independent contractors also have rights too under that. There are so many community members that work independently as painters, as builders, and construction workers, and don't get their just due as well in that space. So wage theft is really real.
Okay, and so the investigator goes in and talks to the job and on your behalf.
Talks to the job or just tries to get more detailed information. Maybe there are more people that have been impacted by that. Maybe there is more to know within that job that could be affecting you from getting the wages that you need, right? And it's not just in the areas of just wage theft, right? Am I getting my proper break? Bri, I remember the previous jobs we worked at, back in the day, we couldn't get that 30 minutes to talk on the phone. You would only get 10, right? Because you're now a manager or a supervisor, or there's not staff, or whatever the case may be. If we knew that OLS existed in our space, we'd be rich.
Most definitely. And that's why I'm happy that Build is creating that space for people to get educated and know, because as you become part of the community, which I encourage everyone to get in one of these organizations, Clean Greens, Build, a lot of these organizations, you start to learn there's so much that our community don't know. They don't know, and people get away with stealing our wages and stealing our time. I have a question. Speaking of past jobs, I had a job where people felt like they were being treated unfairly against another group of people. And they one time called this number, can't remember what it was, and it was the wrong number. So the whole investigation happened, but nothing was founded because they called the wrong number. So are there different numbers? Does OLS cover that, or is that a different number to cover?
Well, to contact, I'll give that information if you would contact me, just to be able to walk through the process properly. And that's Deontay at build206.com. And then we can be able to walk through that specific process. And that's the thing. No number, you get person, me, as in me, or some of our Build 206 staff, that could be able to walk them through that process.
Nice. So this is like they're getting a community advocate and a OLS investigator, where typically you would call a OLS, maybe not getting somebody, and it takes a little bit.
Well, I would say the Office of Labor Standards has done an advanced job on making sure community members get the access. What I love so much about this partnership, or we rather, is that the partnership consists of community-driven organizations leading the charge on having the conversation for folks
And spreading the word.
and spreading the word.
Nice. And just knowing difference between who to contact for what situation, and I love that.
Right. And it's just not about wage staff, and it's just not about the fair break scheduling, right? We have to also talk about job applications, right? In the city of Seattle, they cannot ask about your if you they cannot ask about your criminal history. And we want to be able to make sure we're supporting people that have been impacted by that. We have
Oh,
community
what is that?
It's the Fair Chance Act employment. It's the Fair Chance Employment Act out here in the city of Seattle, and we want to make sure that community members that have been impacted, that have been justice involved, get access that they need, or the fair treatment and access that they need.
I love
Um,
that. I
yeah,
used to work in housing, and it was very hard watching families not be able to get housing because they don't have the income, and they can't get the income because they have a criminal history. And it's like this cycle of like, how are we supposed to make it? I seen this I've been watching the news a couple of times a week, and you guys, first of all, watch the news. If you're listening, watch the news because they keep
thankfully, I
doing.
watch MSNBC every morning and every night.
Well, not
It's
even that. Channel 4 is doing this. They're doing these surveys, and not a lot of us are watching the news, so not a lot of our voices are being heard. And so I seen this survey last night about car theft, and they were asking, why do we think that there's an increase of car theft? And one of the questions was, is cars just easy to steal? Another option was not enough police, and another option was not enough access, not enough access resources. And the numbers to accessing resources, the percentage of people voting for that was so low. It's so low. And it comes back to what you're talking about is, I was thinking resources is the reason why people are stealing because, hey, Janet, I know I was like, I need to let people know we're back live. Thanks for joining in. But the reason why I'm saying watch the news, watch the news, because our voices need to be heard in those surveys. Because Deontay, what you just said was, there's an act in Washington right now where they can't ask about your criminal history. And those are some of the things that happens when people keep getting asked about their criminal history and keep getting turned down for jobs. Then they turn back to where they started because they were able to get money and they were able to provide for their kids. They were able to pay their rent. So I'm happy to hear that we have that act now. And I'm sorry to take y'all on that long story, but I just remembered that we need to spread the word that they are creating these surveys and getting people's voices, but our voices don't seem to be they're not reaching us.
That's why the partnership with community, with Deontay, with OLS is so important because it closes the loop. So
Yep.
I just kept thinking like how sometimes you just don't know, and your community, your circle may be so small, you just don't know these things. And yeah, you may feel like you don't have another option to turn to because no one's told you different, and you could have made a different decision at that point.
absolutely.
You never know who knows who. So never be ashamed to speak about your experience because you never know who's connected. Um,
Yeah.
so so Deontay, where have you been outreaching this year?
That is a great question, Bri. A little bit of everywhere and a little bit of lot of where, right?
Mhm.
I think that one of the main spaces where we have been is just out there to the people. So when I think about the Columbia City Beat Walk events, Pride events they Tish Gallo and myself of Build partnered with, Asian Pride Asia, which was an amazing LGBTQ event. Our partners out there at Sing Seattle. Yes, I'm out there in the bars promoting.
Jesus hung with everybody to save everybody. No judgment.
Promoting and outreaching for specific this specific space, because like these are conversations that people are going to the bar and having. People that are celebrating Pride are impacted by these things, right? I thank so much for Dre and the Build leadership team, because they're like, brother, you need to go here, or what about here to outreach? Because and it's different spaces that I have thought about that I didn't think I should be out, that I didn't think would be great outreaching spaces, but I just love the minds of my Bill brothers, because they're like, you know what, we're going to be everywhere because everyone needs access to to know about labor standards, to know that we'll be willing to show up for you in this space, and also making sure that this is for everyone, especially for some of our community members that come in as immigrants in our community, right? There sometimes can be a barrier with understanding some of the rights that they may have. What Build and all us is doing is making sure that our community members out there know too. So we'll be outreaching at some future events in the Tukwila and SeaTac area to make sure that we're reaching out to all diaspora of community members.
Nice. Have you guys went to any shelters and talked about this? I know I used to work for a housing shelter, and we used to have community meetings where our clients work to come and learn more information about things that impact their lives. Have you guys visited any of those?
I have outreached at Banu, but starting not this month, but in November, there will be an OLS presentation at a local shelter. Don't want to say which one, but it is the local shelter in downtown, where community members will get some more access. And these are community members that have been impacted by houselessness, but also are out there working. So
Nice. Yeah, it's important. Even though I'm not there anymore, it's ingrained. I want to say kind of a trauma just watching those families go through not having a voice, especially in the job area, in the working area, where people were advocating for them. So I'm
yeah,
happy.
and I love that you say that too, Bree, because when we think about our community members that are impacted into that space, they may just be so excited to work and not know
Yeah.
what rights that they may have. I have a brother and sister that reached out to me about OLS, and they just started working after not working for 3 years. You
Yeah.
know,
They
so
were
and
so excited that nobody took them.
right, and I love that. I love that. Might have to have Clean Greens come and partner and talk a little bit about hey, you never know.
It's serious. It's real out there. And just watching families deal with that, and in order to get housing, you have to get a job. But most people get jobs, and it stresses them out, it burns them out, and then they either quit or they're just overworking themselves and they don't even know their rights. So
Right.
thank you, Build, and thank you, OLS, for doing that work and partnering. And again, you guys can go to Build's website, right, to learn more information and catch workshops. Or
That's
if people uh
that's build206.com/labor standards. And you can also feel free to email me, Deontay, at build206.com.
and Deontay, and then so Deontay, so if people want you to come to them, you'll go to their areas and do a little presentation. How does that work?
Oh yes, so if they reach out to me, I will do a presentation. I talk a long time. I'm just letting y'all know.
But he
Uh,
makes it fun.
yeah, and we actually have some videos that'll be coming out later on this at the end of the year, just to give community members, not just about our organizations, but some of the other partnered organizations that we have too.
Nice, nice. So Deontay, you do all this beautiful community work. How do you keep yourself centered and keep yourself focused on the ground? Because this work, we be smiling. He smiles all the time, but this work, he does like work and he does good work. How do you keep yourself focused and from not getting, like when I work for housing, I had to take myself out of it and just be, but also be caring. Like, how do you find that balance?
You know, it has been. I remember when people would ask me that, like last year or the year before, and I'd be like, "Oh yeah, girl, I take this time out and I do this." But I have really been talking the talk and walking the walk. You know, I think it's just making time to center myself, and that could be me driving in a circle and playing some inspirational music. Like I was riding with my friend just last week. They were going through it, and hey, this is what I listen to when I'm going through it. And also taking that time of just knowing when you need to take your time. Like boundaries is what I have, and I appreciate Build and the other organizations that I work with, good friends that have also made sure, like, hey, when are you going to do that? Like, I'm boundarying all community because December I'm going to take the whole month off. I'm not because I know my body needs it because I've been working a
You've been
lot.
doing a lot, so I could see like the whole month.
Right, a lot, and honestly, I'll have days like where I'm
Yes, it is.
where
Daniel said Christmas present.
yeah, I have days like where I feel down, but not down and out. And I think that working with community people that take care of you, pour into you as much as you pour out, has been really great through this space. So,
You are what you just said, like you recognize what you needed. You're empowering other people to be able to recognize what they need, to have more self-care.
yeah, and you have to. And the thing about it is, it could be you just going for a walk. I have a friend that's been trying to get me to go out for a walk for a while. I've tried, that's not my thing. But you have to find.
Oh, they're so relaxing and
Yeah, and yes, that is great. But but that's not my thing. My space, and people. My space is music, so I just encourage people to find that inspirational song that keeps them going, that keeps them empowered, and go with that. But above all else, stay empowered.
All right. Thanks, Deontay. Thanks for coming on. Thanks, Bill 206, for doing the work. We see you guys. We love it. Can't wait to have you back, Deontay. All right. Up next, Phil FAM.
Thanks for having me, y'all.
You're welcome.